Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talkin' Tongue, the bi-weekly escape from reality show. We did it. We escaped. We're escaping from all the shitstorm in the world and entering the pod cavern, the wonderful, cozy space in all of your hearts and your ears. And I am talking to a very special guest who hasn't appeared in the pod cavern for a very long time, has eluded me for a very long time. I send a bunch of physical mail, lots of text messages, lots of eye glances from, let's say, 800 kilometers away. I don't even know how far you are right now. I'm talking about Reba Ollerhead, everyone. Hi, Reba.
Hello. Hi. Good
long
to be
time.
here.
It's been a long time.
It's been since I was ranking hangover cures 5 years
That
ago.
is insane. That is insane because for people who don't know, I have another show called Ranked Top 5 List of Stuff That Don't Matter. Reba was a wonderful guest on the Top 5 Hangover Cures episode, and that was like the first year of the pod cavern.
It was fun. It was a good time.
Yeah, we get shit on that episode every now and then, which is hilarious. That's one of the episodes where people like look back on and they're like, really? Because our number one hangover cure was water, and people are like, obviously, and it's like, well, it is. What do you want from us?
Yeah. Okay. We got into some of the more interesting ones, but you got to start somewhere.
We got to start somewhere. I mean, the number one's not always the most interesting thing, right? Okay. I mean, I think like Reba at one point said that like getting a haircut was her favorite way of curing a hangover. Is that true?
I stand by it. There's a scalp massage. It's a little bit of self-care. No changes to that opinion.
Okay, great. I'm glad that you're still the same person. Reba, it has been actually way too long since we've last spoken. How are you? What's new with you? For the people at home who have never even heard your voice before, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello. Welcome to my voice in your ear holes to anybody new. I'm a friend of Tuong's from Ottawa days, years and years ago. We met in university.
Yeah.
I am still here. He has left me long behind years ago.
It's crazy because I was in Ottawa. You were in, I forget, you moved out of Ottawa.
I did. I went to Thunder Bay.
The wonderful Thunder Bay or Dryden. I forget exactly where you were. And we stayed friends. And then you moved back to Ottawa. And then I'm like, I'm out of here. So we've never really stayed in the same city for very long.
Yeah, we had a couple years of crossover in Ottawa, and that was a good time. But yes, I've stayed here. I work a somewhat soul-sucking corporate job.
Don't we all at this point?
Yeah, truly. Yeah. What do? I read a lot of books. I'm a new cross-stitcher since being isolated with COVID last month.
Okay. Tell me about this cross-stitching journey, because I know like beginning of the pandemic, everyone was into the bread making, and like you couldn't get like yeast anywhere. I remember that was a huge problem.
You can still find embroidery floss, shockingly,
you can
in
still
the stores.
Do that? Okay.
It hasn't hit the TikTok yet or whatever it is that makes things go viral.
Really funny because you're not the first person that I've talked to who've discovered cross-stitching in the second like lockdown phase or like later in the pandemic. They're like, I'm tired of bread. It's now cross-stitching.
It's so like, I am not like a creative, crafty person, but I was like in the rec room of my parents' house over Christmas, just staring at my mom's wall of abandoned craft supplies and was like, well, I guess this is my life now. I just got to pick one. So it wasn't finger painting, it was cross-stitching. And that's how I ended up here.
Is she a finger painter? Does she do that?
There is everything in that wall. 4 kids, they've lived there for like 35 years. It's like everything has been tried and abandoned. So anything you could want to try.
What is your main goal with cross-stitching? Not like trying to be the best cross-stitcher ever. I realize that. But like, what do you want to make that you're like, this is what I want to do when I'm in the zone of cross-stitching?
It's not about this sounds so cheesy. It's not about the final product. It's about but it's truly about just like something to keep my hands busy while I'm like watching or listening to other things because I fall prey to, as we all do, the looking at a big screen in the distance and scrolling a small screen in the forefront.
Oh, you're
And
one
that
of
just
those.
drives me crazy. I can be when I'm on my own. So it's
Uh-huh.
just, it's a silly thing. So I'm just like making bookmarks for people and have a couple of other
That's
big things on the go.
cool.
But
That's
yeah, that's
bookmarks are fun. Make me a bookmark next time I'm in town, which I haven't been in a little bit. But next time, I mean, my family's there. I'll visit again.
okay.
I would love a, well, not a bookmark because I don't read, so we'll have to figure out something else.
Even like I made my first bookmark and I'm like, oh great, I can tuck this in the cover of my Kindle. What's the point of
Okay,
this?
okay, yes, yes. I do have an iPad that I could tuck that into. That's
There you go.
fantastic.
There you go.
What else, Reba? What else have like what have you been doing to keep yourself happy besides cross stitching? Have you discovered like another art form? Like, are you experimenting with baking and cooking or whatever, anything like that?
I'm certainly not doing anything in the kitchen, so we can scrap that.
Okay.
I've spent a fair bit of time over the last couple years on Vancouver Island, and my man friend owns a big sailboat. So I've been
Yes.
learning the ropes, literally,
I
of
would love to
that
pick your
world.
brain on this because I heard about your man friend and out west, and it sounds fantastic out there. But also, you're, I mean, there was a period of time where you're sending a few pictures of just like you on a boat or whatever, and I'm like, but you live on this boat. This is your home, and I'm like, oh man, like it'd be cool. I'm not really a boat guy. I can't even say if I've actually been on a sailboat before. So I don't even know. But I don't imagine the space of a boat is as large as the space of your apartment that you're currently in.
That is correct.
Okay.
So it's a 37-foot sailboat. So it's once you get down and in it, it's got full standing room for,
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know, he's 6'2" and clears his head. And it's got like a little sofa area and a seating area and the V berth with the bed up front that has its own door and it has a bathroom and a little galley. Like it has everything you could need. I certainly wouldn't, two people wouldn't live on one of these things. I mean, people do all over the
People
world,
do.
but I
People
would
do.
not. Like a week at a time is about what I'm comfy with, but it's very fun and it's so beautiful out there. So I was, yeah, very lucky to spend a lot of time out there over the last couple of years.
So what is the number one thing about sailing that you have learned? Are you I assume you guys are actually moving the boat and not just docked the entire time.
Sometimes, funnily enough, not always. Sometimes we just would go to the boat for the weekend just to like get away, and we would just like
Amazing.
it's like tiny house camping, but
Yeah,
floating.
yeah.
But when we do go, yeah, we sail. I have learned probably 0.4% of what there is to know about sailing, and everything has like a special terminology in sailing, but things that
Mm,
like already have a normal word in English that you could just point to it, be like, that's a
starboard.
rope. And they
That
say,
one.
no, that's a sheet. Like, but it's
What?
a rope. They've just renamed everything. Yes, port and starboard and yeah.
And all
So
those things. Okay. Have you capsized the boat yet at any point?
I have been assured that the boat will not capsize. It has
How?
like a 12,000 pound keel below it. Because when we're sailing in good wind, you are
Uh-huh.
like 45 degrees over, and
Yeah.
you have to like tuck all the jars behind their little rails and put everything away, and you're fully like keeled over. And so it doesn't feel right as somebody who spent a lot of time in boats that aren't like this. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're this far over, you're going all the way over. But
Okay.
my captain promised me that there's 12,000 pounds of weight, counterbalancing.
I feel like you gotta just like one time, one summer, you guys are gonna be like, let's just keep sailing and see how far we can go. Like, I want to see some Pirates of the Caribbean type stuff, you know? Like when there's like tsunamis going on, you're fighting other boats, you're like docking on other people's boats and trying to take over their ships. That's probably not a thing you and your partner are interested in,
We could
but
try. The closest we got was one day we docked in the same bay as a friend of his with a boat, and we like pulled our boats up together, but then we didn't like pillage their boat. We cooked eggs and then had breakfast together. So
wow, that's much more nice. You know what? That's probably a better thing to do in this day and age. No, less pillaging and pirating in life, and more cooking eggs with each other.
yeah, more omelets with friends.
Yeah. Okay, Reba. I have a bunch of just random pop culture headlines that I'm going to throw at you. It's the first time I've ever read them. So let me
Okay.
get started. They're from IGN.com. I didn't do the research. I'm just doing other people's work for them. Here we go. My first news story is, do you know Daniel Radcliffe is to play Weird Al Yankovic in a biopic here?
I did not. That that's Harry Potter. That he
That,
can never not be Harry Potter.
but he's done such a I love Daniel Radcliffe. He's one of those actors that I'm like, yeah, he's Harry Potter, but the guy after Harry Potter has just gone on and done some weird shit afterwards, and it is incredible what he's
So
done afterwards.
what has he what should I watch that he's done?
Oh my
Because I don't know
god.
anything.
Oh my goodness. Let me look it up here. So
Okay.
the first 10 movies that I'm seeing here is Harry Potter, of course. But he's done, yeah, Guns Akimbo. He's done a movie called Jungle, Horns, where he's like this like devilish Satan type of man. There's one called Swiss Army Man, which I'm pretty sure he plays like a dead guy the entire time. So it's kind of like, he's done a
What is
bunch of
happening?
weird stuff. Yes, yes. So, Weird Al, though, do you see it?
Yeah, I'm excited to see it. That's for sure.
You see it in his eyes. I feel like he could encapsulate that.
I
He
This
just
makes
doesn't have
me
the hair.
realize I know nothing about Weird Al as a person. So
I
I
don't
look
know. I
forward
don't
to
know anything
learning.
about Weird Al. I know a few of his songs. I know he's like an icon and he has incredible hair. So
Yeah, sometimes when I wear my hair natural and try a middle part, I really give Weird Al vibes. But that's the
I've
extent
always
to which I think about Weird Al.
I've always said that about you, Reba. When I look right into you, I'm like, that's Weird Al. There she is.
Hey,
Um,
you took it a little, I only with the specific hair part. Please don't let everybody think that I'm actually Weird Al
that would
looking
be a
up.
compliment, okay? Do you know what, Reba? I was just thinking about something. In Ottawa, there is a festival called Blues Fest, everyone. And let me tell you, this festival is anything but the blues. It's basically oh man, like in the last handful of years, it just became like an EDM show every single night. And then maybe Lady Gaga appears at the end or something like that. But I remember one year, Weird Al was there and it was incredible. So I was
Really?
there, yeah, and it was like, wow, Weird Al's at Blues Fest, and he's not playing the blues
That's so
whatsoever.
funny. What's your favorite Weird Al song?
Oh, I'm an Albuquerque kind of guy.
Oh,
It's
I
not
don't.
it's not a
I
parody song. It's just one of his songs that he sings about Albuquerque, and it's like 10 minutes long. It's very long. It's very ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think I knew that he even made original music. I Tonight I will be in a YouTube hole all about Weird Al.
Oh, you don't need to, but yes, you could if you want to.
I don't have a lot going
I'm
on.
not gonna say like, oh yeah, Weird Al's latest album. I don't keep up with Weird Al, okay, but I do know he's like a pretty prolific person. So,
I
my,
look forward to getting all new insight about him from this movie.
okay, well, you can spend your evening doing that, I guess. My next story for you is Jonah Hill has a very specific condition for making Super Bad 2. You want to guess what the condition is?
Is it? Oh, oh no, just tell me. There's too much running through
There's
my
too
head.
much. So you're like, okay, what do we do? What do we do? Michael Cera has to be part of it. Okay,
Is it? Okay.
apparently he hasn't pitched this to anybody, but this is the quote. What I want to do is when we're like 80, do a Super Bad 2. Like old folks home super bad. Super bad. Our spouses die and we're single again. That's what I want Super Bad 2 to be. And that's the only way I'd ever make it. Thoughts?
That's excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think that movie still holds up? I am scared to go back to it.
I had the same thought recently.
Hmm.
I almost put it on and I thought that I might ruin it because so many movies of that ilk from that era do not
Hmm.
hold up.
Right? Yeah, I know. It's just like it gets a little dicey and you're like, "Ooh, we shouldn't say that anymore," and things like that. I am afraid to go back. But what's the kid version of it that they came up with the other day? Not the other day. Oh my God. Seth Rogen made it. It has Jacob Tremblay in it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't.
Oh God, I'll think of it. I'll think of it. It's
Like a
just
prequel?
no, it's just a bunch of kids and it's like super bad, but with kids. God damn it, I'll
They
figure
were
it.
kids.
But kids, like
Kids, kids.
elementary type stuff. Good Good Boys, that's the
Oh,
one.
I'll have to, because that's scary. Because how did that subject matter translate to kids at all?
I say it's super bad with kids, but it's more than that. You should watch it. You'd like it. You'd
Good
like it.
boys. Okay.
Good Boys.
Noted.
Write it down. This episode today is just recommending stuff to Reba because honestly, back in the day, that's all I kind of did. That was kind of like our friendship here. It was like, Reba, this is what I'm watching right now, and you'd share what you're watching. We just like bond over like How I Met Your Mother and stuff. But now in this day and age, there's just too much.
Yeah, you got me onto a lot of good stuff. But yeah, I bet we could both compare everything we've been watching and doing and have very little overlap. It's infinite. It's overwhelming.
And then I'd look at you and be like, we used to overlap on this stuff. What
There used to
happened to
be
you?
that Venn diagram used to be
Yeah.
more than just two circles butting against each other.
Right. Okay, give me a show that you are really into right now.
I Snowpiercer.
Oh, yes. See, that's a show I would like to watch. Okay, okay. It's good to know that the stuff you're watching is stuff that I'd be like, I'd watch that, but just haven't yet.
You should watch it. The season 3 premiere was earlier this week.
Is Chris Evans in it at all?
No, Chris
Ah,
Evans was in the movie. So it's all
yes.
different people, but it's like David Diggs and Sean, what's his name? Sean Bean? Sean
Sean
Bon?
Bean.
Yeah.
Okay. I like a Sean Bean. Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Hey, Debbie
Yeah.
Diggs is cool too. All right, I'm in. Okay, here is a question for you. How much do you like Lizzie McGuire?
Um, I say like a 4 out of 10. I that was like I was in prime timing for Lizzie McGuire, but
Hmm.
my parents didn't let us watch stuff. So I missed out.
Is it? They didn't like to watch Lizzie McGuire.
No, we only had CBC. They were like, no channels, no nothing. We live out in the boonies and we have like the rabbit ear antennas, and that is what you will get.
My God. Okay, okay. Second question. I thought it was just like you cannot watch Lizzie McGuire. It's too wholesome.
That specifically. She's too blonde, she's too cute.
Yeah.
You'll get all sorts of ideas.
Would you ever dye your hair as blonde as Hilary Duff, like in Lizzie McGuire?
If if I could also get any plastic surgery I wanted in conjunction with it, is the
Okay.
only way I could pull it off.
Wow. Okay. All right. We don't have that budget for you. I'm sorry. I was gonna like I could buy you some hair dye.
Oh, then I'm glad that was my answer because it's an
Okay.
easy now.
Okay. Forget Lizzie McGuire. I have another one for you. Fight Club got a new ending in China, which is pretty interesting. It's not the first time this has happened, where when a movie, especially like a Western movie, because obviously different ideals and stuff like that, but when it goes to China, very locked down, in many ways, a censored country, like you say the wrong thing and it's not good, and you don't have the power to fight back against it or say anything, and there's people come after you, that kind of stuff. So to have this movie Fight Club finally make its way to China, and Fight Club's old, man. Like,
So it's actually the first release of it?
I guess so. I guess
Okay, I
so.
have a two-part question.
Yeah,
What is the new ending and what was the first ending? Because I only watched Fight Club once for like
that's
some
fair.
guy in high school I had a crush on and I don't think I paid attention.
That's so funny that you say high school too, because it's such a like boys in high school kind of like, this is my favorite movie, Fight Club,
Oh yeah.
anarchy. Oh man, it's so real. Whoa, Brad Pitt was in his mind the entire time. What the
I
my
was like,
mind is.
yeah, Chris, this movie is really cool. Oh yeah, I'm a cool girl.
I want
Anyway,
to talk to this Chris person and see if he still is into Fight Club. If that's still your favorite movie, Chris. If you're listening to this, first of all, thank you for being a fan of the show. But also, come on, there's better movies now. Okay, so the original ending of Fight Club, if I remember correctly, was essentially that Edward Norton was holding hands with what's her name, Helena Bonham Carter.
Carter. Mhm.
Yes. And they're seeing like buildings like collapse and explode, and they're looking out the window and things like that. And it's like almost like this feeling of like a revolution starting, that kind of stuff. Like, we're going to stick it to the man, like whatever, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
In this new version, I'm going to read you the quote here, because like there's a whole anarchist message in the original Fight Club. I mean, this is a news story. Like, Meatloaf just died, and Meatloaf was in this movie, and he was oh my God, Robert Paulson, I think that's the name. Like he was that guy.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is the new ending. The police rapidly figured out the whole plan and arrested all criminals. And this is sorry. Instead of all you're seeing like the buildings fall and stuff like that, apparently like the screen goes black and this is the text message that just pops up. So it's just written text changing the ending.
Well,
So
right, because the Chinese government isn't going to put budget into
no.
CGIing their alternate ending.
Yeah. So the police rapidly figured out the whole plan and arrested all criminals, successfully preventing the bomb from exploding. After the trial, Tyler was sent to a lunatic asylum receiving psychological treatment. He was discharged from the hospital in 2012.
That is dark.
That's such a... and it's a very, like, pro-police, which is very not this movie, right? Like,
Yeah, it's like, oh, yes, then the police force came in and saved the day, and wow.
yeah. So it really comes down to, like, they don't want to show a movie that, like, paints the police in a bad way. And it's like, this is kind of freaky that you change the entire ending. You don't show it. It has to be text message, but it's like, that's really weird. And
Does it talk about why after how many years? Like 25 years? How old is this movie?
I don't know.
Why they finally did this?
I'm not sure. Maybe we should ask Chris. Do we have his number?
Chris is like running the Discord about this or something.
Yeah, he's outraged on this. I shouldn't make fun of Chris. I have no. He's probably a lovely guy. Probably a lovely guy. I don't know.
I don't know either anymore.
I have no idea about anything that you don't know about for this Fight Club thing. I have no idea. I think it's just fascinating though, and I know this isn't the first time this has happened. This has happened for a handful of movies, and I should say more than probably a handful.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. And with that, is there anything else that we have here? One quick story, maybe. Oh, maybe we can segue this into what we're talking about today. An old rocket is about to collide with the moon.
I saw this headline.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on that? This is my first time seeing that. That seems dangerous.
Whose is it again? When I say I saw the headline, that's what I mean. I didn't read the story.
Great. Well, I'm only reading the headline, so I don't know. It's the part of a SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket that has been floating around space for nearly 7 years is on track to collide with the moon. Yep. I don't know who it's owned by.
This seems like it's not going to be that big of a deal.
It says harmlessly. There it goes. I had to scroll down a little bit. It's harmlessly going to collide with the moon. But how do we know it's going to be harmless?
It's true, but it's so far away, and it can't be that big because we sent it.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. There are about 30 to 50 lost deep space objects like this that have been missing for years, 50 years in some cases, that haven't been picked up by asteroid searches, and probably some already that have hit the moon. So we have littered the moon with our shit, is what I'm hearing.
We will not stop at one planet, Tom.
No,
it's not enough.
We are ruining our Earth and space one rocket at a time, which, is very fitting for this movie. So how about we get into it? Reba,
Sure.
What is the movie that we watched this week?
We watched Don't Look Up.
I hear there's something you don't like the looks of.
We discovered a very large comet.
Oh, good for you.
It's headed directly towards Earth.
This comet is what we call a planet killer.
At this exact moment, I say we sit tight and assess.
Sit tight and assess?
Sit tight.
And then assess. The sit tight part comes first, then you got to digest it. That's the assessment period.
Which came out on Netflix around Christmas, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this movie was high profile. Like
just full of famouses.
It's just like, here's money. I'm Adam McKay, the director, and I'm just gonna go dick out, which is my term for hiring a lot of big list actors, like huge. It's just full of them. I'm going to read some of them.
I like your term for this. Yes, please do.
Thank you. I use that term for many more things here, but I'm going to use... Hey, okay, anyways. Leonardo DiCaprio, first of all. Our boy Leo. I shouldn't say our boy. It's my boy Leo. Jennifer Lawrence. Ariana Grande. Cate Blanchett. Timothée Chalamet. Meryl Streep. We get a little... Spoilers. Chris Evans. cameo, which Chris Evans has been doing a lot lately, just showing up in like a one scene type of thing. He did this in Free Guy.
Loved it in Free Guy. Yes.
Yeah. Mark Rylance. We'll talk a lot about him, I think. Jonah Hill. And Kid Cudi's in this. Ron Perlman is in this. Himesh Patel, who was the guy from the movie Yesterday, that Beatles movie, if you remember that one.
Yeah.
Rob Morgan, Tyler Perry. And then there's a bunch of other people in this too, but those are like the big A-list stars that are in this movie. Melanie Linsky, which I don't recognize, but she's popular in other things too. But
she has been around forever, and she is finally getting her time to shine. She was the weird friend from back home in Sweet Home Alabama, and now she is Leonardo DiCaprio's wife.
That's right.
And she's in an excellent series on HBO or Showtime called Yellow Jackets, which is also a show that
Okay, so she is up and coming. Well, she's been around for the game, but she's
finally getting her recognition.
That's right. Reba, I asked you to watch this movie. Sometimes I ask my guests what they want to watch, but I really want to watch this, and I'm like, who's going to watch this with me? Oh, let me call my good old pal Reba. She'll watch anything. So
wow, okay.
That's not an insult. It's like, you're open-minded to watch things. You'll try it. I really didn't mean it as an insult. But
it sounded really nice. I will... Yeah, that's going in my affirmation diary. Thank you.
But this is what I like, is that I'm able to like bring up a movie and you're like, I'm down to watch this, because I'm pretty sure I gave you the option. I'm like, Reba, if you don't want to talk about this movie, then we don't, you don't have to. But you've already seen this movie and then you rewatched it. So you watched this movie twice now.
I am committed to this conversation with you. I watched it, I think, on Christmas Day because I was isolated and had not much else going on. And then I rewatched it yesterday. So it's very fresh.
Oh, fantastic. I watched this about a week ago, so it's less fresh, but I have thoughts. So how about we start with this? So do you want to explain the general, like, synopsis of what this movie is?
Sure. So our friends Leo and Jennifer Lawrence are... Leo is a professor of astronomy, not the other one with horoscopes that I always get mixed up with.
I was going to say astrology. You're definitely
astronomy
right.
Astronomy is the scientific.
You're definitely right.
No offense to all the astrology people out there. He is a professor of astronomy, and J-Law is a PhD candidate, and she is doing some kind of research and discovers a new comet that they figure out very quickly is on a course collision with Earth in 6 months and 14 days, and it has the potential it is an extinction event to destroy the planet. From there we see them trying to get the news out there with the president and with the media, and I don't know how much I'm supposed to spoil at this stage, but that is the premise of them trying to get people's attention and to make them care that they're all going to die in 6.5 months.
I think that's a good place to start for our conversation. And of course, like all episodes of Talking Tongue, we'll talk generally about it, and then we'll get into spoilers and things like that. But I mean, Reba and I talked about this earlier. I'm not sure how much there is to spoil. Like, Reba's description right now is literally the whole idea of the movie, and then it just kind of plays out from there, I guess. So how about we start with this? Is the director of this movie is Adam McKay, who has done a ton of movies that are really well recognized. I'm going to read some to you. You might recognize a little movie called Anchorman.
Oh, yes.
Step Brothers, The Other Guys, Talladega Nights. So his come up was a lot in comedy. But then shifted gears in, I would say, 2015 when The Big Short came out, and that was very, very popular. That had Christian Bale, Steve Carell, Brad Pitt, Ryan Gosling, and it was I feel like Adam McKay's new style, which is like getting a bunch of like hotless actors doing like a commentary on a thing that's a real thing, but doing it in like a cool, flashy way, and like lots of like witty stuff is being said to one another, and then you have like a color scheme going on. I'm not sure how to describe that, but like all of the titles that he has in like The Big Short or Vice and like Don't Look Up, there's a distinctive like color scheme and font and way he like presents his information in his movies. And then he did Vice as well, which was also Christian Bale, and that also had Sam Rockwell and those, I forget who else is in that movie. Before we get into Don't Look Up, what do you think about his like catalog of movies, and maybe just the last two, because this is when he's like, I'm an Academy like nominee, award-winning type of director now.
Yeah, so I'm not very good at following like directors, and like I'm pretty certain, like I know the people that are in movies, but I don't pay that close attention. And I know you've always lamented this because you follow the Oscars and all that stuff. But like today I was thinking about this, so I looked him up and I got that list of movies and was thinking about it, and I hadn't noticed that connection, like you said, the last few movies with the actual graphics of the titles and that kind of thing. Really cool. But yeah, I like your observation that they're providing a commentary on something. So we all know going in what it's going to cover, what the message is going to be, and then the art of it and the part of it to enjoy is how it rolls out, and like the banter and the comments and just how it happens. Like there's no twists and turns.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. And it's funny because he did come from a place of comedy too. I'm pretty sure Adam McKay was like a very, I could be wrong, but he did a lot of obviously comedy writing with his other movies, but he was like an improviser, and he has a lot of comedy chops is all what I'm saying. So you can see that in Don't Look Up, and you can see that in The Big Short and Vice, which I think are funny, but also like more serious in a way than this movie. I feel like in this movie, I'm going to go ahead and say it right now, and I know this movie in particular is not reviewed well on, like, say, Rotten Tomatoes and, like, that kind of stuff. People seem to have very mixed feelings about this movie, but I liked it more than his other two movies. I don't remember Big Short or Vice pretty much at all, so.
Yeah, this was very much, like, a lot more kind of, like, tongue-in-cheek. Like, really, it knows what it was doing. I don't know how to explain it, but I enjoyed this one a lot more too. I haven't seen Vice, but I did see The Big Short.
Big Short, I've always felt, now it is a good movie. I shouldn't say it's not a good movie, and it won awards and stuff like that. So what do I know? But I remember it being like almost too smart for me, and too cool. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure if there's such thing, but I just didn't connect with it in the same way. And maybe the source material of what they were going for, I wasn't really like, I don't really care about The Big Short in history. Like, that doesn't, it was like a real event, right? That it was supposed to like talk about, where this is more fictionalized and they can play more with the story.
Yeah, I think that's why, like, I think you're more likely to feel like you don't get it enough, or you're not like connecting enough if it's something that actually happened that you feel like you should know more. But this was something that hasn't happened, but something that is actively happening at the same time. So it's like whatever connections you can draw, you can feel good about, and you get more from it because you have kind of that freedom of it being a fictional
Maybe
story.
that's what it is I can laugh more at this one, even though it does hit close to home. Whereas like Vice, they're talking about like actual events that happen in history, and I'm like, history, boring. No, but you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they can only take so much liberty with
that's
that.
Right. That's right. So maybe we'll get like your gut check reaction of the film. Like, did you enjoy this film?
I did. My initial thought was, I was thinking, that was a nice bit of escapism. For 2 hours, we can forget about the problems of the world and exist in a universe where Leo is into not one, but two age-appropriate women, which was...
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. I liked it. I had to sit with it for a bit after my first time watching it, because like I said, it was very tongue-in-cheek and very in your face, and it was kind of like telling me everything I already knew, and I think it's supposed to make you uncomfortable like that. But especially on the second watch, it's like I knew what was going to happen, literally. So I appreciated the lines and the little interactions a lot more, which there was a lot in that to be enjoyed.
It is a very I was gonna say 2020, but like literally in the last few years of everything culminating with like the Trump administration and like climate change and all of that stuff. This commentary is so, yes, like you said, in your face about it. It's just like, this is how people are, and they're ignoring the science, which is very, COVID related, right? This is like,
This is my other
yeah.
is the timing of this. So it was written and it started in late 2019, and then it got like I think it was supposed to start filming in the month before COVID or something. So
Hmm.
I was trying to find out, and I couldn't really find anything on if they adjusted the scripts or if anything changed with
Mm.
COVID, because it's like they were having it mirror or like try to like climate change, but then this global event appeared around the time they were making this movie that
Yeah.
it also applies to in a scary, scary way. But I couldn't find anything online on whether or not
That's so
they changed
interesting.
anything about it.
Well, in any case, it definitely reflects the pandemic in a lot of ways where it's just like, people ignoring the scientists. And there's like this, instead of like a virus, here's this giant ass comet that's coming to Earth. And people, like the president and stuff like that, Meryl Streep, instead of like doing the right thing, she's playing the game for herself so she can get like more points. And, even though there's people's lives on the line, there's all of this stuff stuffed into this movie. And I guess there's like an argument to say that they put too much of that in this movie. Like maybe it's overstuffed with like many ideas of what's wrong in the world. But like I still found it was very fun, and I thought it was handled pretty well.
Yeah, I think that the reason like you said, almost everything you can point to at like you look at Meryl Streep and you know who that is, and you look at Jonah Hill and you know who that is.
Hmm.
And I think that's why the reviews are so mixed, is because it's well, such an exaggerated version, but maybe not that exaggerated. But when you look at the demographics of the world right now, a lot of people are going to identify and feel like they fall in more with the half of people who are being like openly
Yeah.
like satirized. I don't know what the word is. So it's like, of course, they're like, well, they're clearly making fun of Trump, and Trump is my president. So there, you've lost like 40% of people on Rotten Tomatoes.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's very, I mean, divisive is the word of the
For
decade
sure.
so far, but I think that's why. Because it's like the people that it's for, it's not for everybody. Because if you
No.
identify with one of those groups, it's not gonna sit right.
It is interesting though, because they have all sorts of characters like Ariana Grande. I think she plays her role very well, which is just like the superstar, I guess, that like her only trouble in life is her stardom and like her like I don't know, TMZ like relationship she has with like another artist, and it's just like that's it. And she's trying to save like the seals or the whales or whatever. It's very
The
on the nose.
manatees, yeah.
The manatees.
She was a good sport, I've got to say.
Yeah.
Like playing such a version of herself. I liked that. It was
Yeah.
fun.
Well, people forget that she was an actress before she became like super, super big, right? She was in that, what was that show? It was a Disney show, Victoria Justice. That's the one.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
she came from, it's like Selena Gomez and stuff like that. They're all like Disney stars that like got their up and up from acting and stuff like that. So she did really well. I thought that was really great. And I like Kate Blanchett's character, who is like just, I don't know how to describe that. What do you, horny for her guests on her
Yeah.
show?
Yeah.
Um,
I really liked when was it Leo that was saying, I don't feel like we know anything about each other. And then she went on to talk about herself and what she thought was her blurb. There was like how many ex-presidents she slept with and how many Monets she owns. It was
mhm.
just like a perfect encapsulation of that character.
Yeah, exactly. I really liked everyone in this movie. Like Timothée Chalamet, his character, who is like this guy's been in so many movies as of late, which is fantastic. It's so interesting seeing. I talk about this a lot anytime he shows up in a movie, but like it's so interesting seeing his star rising and rising and rising, because you can see it in like Dune. He was in like a Wes Anderson film. He was in like another film. Like he is, and now he's acting with like Leo and stuff. And
He
yeah,
was my favorite character in this movie. He was just a treat to watch, just so pure. Yeah, I loved him. What
how
was
would you describe
Yule?
his character? Like it's more like a slacker kind of vibe, or How would you describe
Yeah,
him?
he's just like a skater kid that hangs out behind the 7-Eleven, and they're just very like they anti-establishment.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of what else. Yeah, just whatever happens is going to happen. But then he ends up getting close with this group, and I don't want
Yeah,
to
he's
spoil
like
anything. But
also very religious, unexpectedly too.
yes.
And so there's cool to see a different layer to this character. It's not just one note and not in love with Jennifer Lawrence's character, but has a big crush for her, that kind of stuff. It's interesting. Yeah, I like him too. But I think let's rewind it a little bit back and talk about Leo and Jennifer Lawrence, the leads of this movie. And now Jennifer Lawrence hasn't done a movie in a handful of years. She kind of stopped for a while. I think this is her first movie back, and they kind of made a bigger deal out of this. And I remember there was like headlines that was like, "Hey, Jennifer Lawrence, I know that you're like, the top billed actress on, not top bill, but you're like at the first name in this movie, but you get paid less than Leo." And there was like a whole kerfuffle about that. And she seemed
Oh.
pretty okay with it. She's like, "I'm just happy to be acting with Leo," and stuff like that, which I don't know how much of that is real and whatever, but it was really cool to see these two actors play together, I think.
Yes, and I liked them that they were a unit throughout. And like even there was a part of the movie where they drifted for reasons and then
Hmm.
they ended up back in their unit. It was really nice to see.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm such a sucker for Leo. I mean, like, I'm not a sucker for his opinions on his dating life. I don't care for that, I guess. I get that, I don't need to see that he's dating another 21-year-old supermodel or whatever on his yacht. Like, that's a bit much. But as an actor and in the movies he's chosen for his career, I really like it. I really like his stuff. So whenever I
He's
see
pretty
him,
fantastic.
he's a treat to watch every time, I think.
I remember the bitter sweetness. I think you were around, and I remember talking to you about this when he won his Oscar, that it was, he won an Oscar, but for this movie, which was a bummer.
Yeah, right. It was The Revenant he won an Oscar
Yes.
for. And I remember it was a good movie. It was a good movie, but it also fell into, I don't believe it was like, for some reason, no, it may have been a different movie. He was nominated for Best Comedy or Musical one year, and I think that was Django Unchained, actually. But he never
Oh,
won for it, or maybe he won a Golden Globe for it or whatever. So that was funny. But for the Oscar, it was The Revenant. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But I don't think anyone's gonna win for this movie. I don't think. I liked the movie, but I don't think it's gonna win anything.
Are nominations out or anything?
No, not yet. I don't believe
Okay.
so.
Okay.
Not as of this recording. So we'll
Okay.
see. Just backtrack a little bit here.
It's a deadline.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think Leo is a very interesting person to watch on screen. I like Jennifer Lawrence a lot. I find like her filmography is not as strong. Like when she came out, like guns a-blazing with Silver Linings Playbook, I really liked her. I liked American Hustle quite a lot, but everything afterwards, I just kind of stopped paying attention to.
I can't really remember. I remember she did that one with Chris Pratt that was kind of weird.
Oh
That he
yeah, I
like
heard it was
woke her up
terrible.
out of
Yeah.
space sleep, and it was very controversial.
Uh-huh.
It was strange and not good. And then I remember she did that horror movie that was supposed to be all like deep and
Mother.
yeah, that was not well received.
Right. And then she did a movie called Joy, I believe, which also was like nominated, but it was one of those movies I think, yeah, let's nominate this for a thing, but she's not gonna win it.
Oh,
kind of.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Um,
She did lay low for a while. She kind of fell out of favor.
she did.
People
Um,
seemed to get tired of her shtick. She disappeared for a bit.
yes, she was the hottest like actress for a while. I mean, then Hunger Games came around, right? So then
Oh, right.
yeah, and
Wow.
that made her a ton of money, and she was an X-Men as well. She played in a ton of X-Men movies, wearing the blue makeup and stuff. So, yeah, but it's been a while. It's been a while, so it was really nice to see her back for sure.
Yeah, she was. I keep saying that everybody was good or fun to watch, but it's true. And I think of even the more minor characters, like the NASA guy that brought them in, like everybody played so well off each other, and it was really just fun to watch.
Yeah, I liked watching. I mean, I like watching Jonah Hill in general. I mean, I saw interviews with him, and he looks like a Matthew McConaughey type these days with like you know what I'm talking about? He's like super tanned.
Yeah, he's like surfing and he's got the bleachy hair and
Shorts during like a Jimmy Fallon interview, and like I oh my god, it was like the most awkward interview I saw on Twitter where I only watched the clip, but it was basically like Jimmy Fallon's like, thank you, Jonah Hill, for being on this show today. And Jonah Hill's like, wait 1 second. He pulls out some cue cards and starts like saying something political, I think. And he was just going like, and I don't know sure if exactly what this is, but it's in the spirit of saying like, and get your vaccinations. Fuck these people. They suck. Don't forget to vote for these. And Jimmy Fallon was like, cut it off.
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't see that. I was reading something earlier today, and it might have been in an interview, but I saw as a quote in an article, and it was Jonah Hill talking about his character. And it was saying, obviously, like his character is, you know, the nepotism in the Trump house, and he plays the son of Meryl Streep's president,
Yes,
and her chief of staff.
Very
so. But I read something where he said, you know, he wasn't trying so much to embody a person, but he said to himself, what if the Fire Festival were a person? And that's the character that he was trying to convey.
Amazing. I loved it. There's some good funny stuff in here for sure. And Meryl Streep, let's talk about her for a second. She's always good in everything she does.
Fantastic. Has she been in anything recently, or was this a bit of a comeback for
No. Meryl Streep isn't like a thing once a year, and she's always nominated, but she hasn't won a thing in a long time.
Okay, she just gets her like token annual IMDb entry, and
they're
then
like, Meryl Streep's in something, nominate her, put her on the list. But she hasn't. I don't think she's won anything in a long time. Yeah, I really liked her president character. I think just very funny, very selfish, and very real too. I mean, like maybe a shame that she, you know, it's like a female president being so shitty, I guess. So it's like, okay, well, that sucks because we could use a female person in power, but this person's clearly awful. But she does such a good job with it that like I can let it slide.
yeah, it was really good. And I like that despite all of the focus on her, and you know, we know who she is, and she's very self-serving, and there's talk of them like nominating somebody to the Supreme Court who has like allegations and all very familiar territory, but they didn't actually touch on any politics or parties or anything like that. There was no talk of that at all.
Oh yeah, that's true, eh?
So it's kind of
it invokes a certain party maybe, but like it doesn't exactly. They never say it. You're right. It never gets brought
exactly,
to the
and it kind of makes you wonder, like if this were to happen, despite, you know, politics and parties, is like power in and of itself enough to create, like might it shake out this way either way? Like,
it's a scary thought because spoilers for the people at home who haven't watched it yet is the comet does come and it blows the shit out of Earth. Earth's still standing, and like there's a post-credit scene which is very strange to see in just like a regular non-Marvel Disney movie or whatever, but Jonah Hill's alive, so
yeah, Jonah Hill's alive, posting selfies or Instagram stories to nobody because everyone else is dead, which is like the perfect ending for that character.
Yeah,
like just
that's
screaming
right.
into the void for attention and validation.
That's right. Is there any oh wait, before we get into like favorite moments, there's one more person that I want to bring up because I thought his performance was just so interesting to watch. It's Mark Rylance, and Mark Rylance is like the billionaire, trillionaire who owns that mobile company or whatever that basically said, hey, turn the rockets around, we're going to try to mine the comet for resources so I can make more cell phone towers or whatever the hell it was. But his performance is like it's like a weirdo. it's
absolutely like a weirdo.
You know what I mean? He kind of talks like this, and he's very soft spoken, but he's also very dangerous, like very, very dangerous. You know what I mean?
You're doing it perfectly. Yeah, it just like so disconnected from reality. Yeah, it was. I wasn't expecting that when I came into this movie, knowing what it was. That we're all on board, and we're all gonna like try to blow up the comet before it gets too close. And then he's like, "Oh no, wait! We sent a probe, and there's trillions of dollars worth of resources." And what was it that they they could blow it up into smaller pieces
Yeah.
that would then only cause minor destruction to South America. And they were like negotiating with the South American government to
Yeah.
essentially give them a bunch of money to let
Let it
their
happen.
yeah, and then they were going to go pick up the pieces in the boats and
Yeah, it
raise the
is,
stock
and
of their
it's
telecom
very
company.
frustrating, maybe like in real life too, where they had the solution, they were on top of it finally after convincing everyone in the movie and then convincing the president. They had a plan to destroy the comet just in time, but then, yeah, as the action's happening, Mark Rylance enters, the whole trillionaire kind of guy, and he's just like, turn it around. We're going to do this plan instead. And everyone's like, yes, money. Everything comes down to money, which is, obviously very true in this world too.
Yeah. And it's interesting seeing the divide because it didn't just divide into two, groups of society that were, believing in science and wanting to, do whatever they could to save the planet. But it was then that group and then the group that, what was it? So when Jennifer Lawrence's character went back to her parents' house,
Mm-hmm.
her parents turned her away because
Yeah.
she's been trying to, get people's attention to it and, get the rocket destroyed. And because their reasoning was that they were for the jobs that it was going to create if the telecom company were to do their thing. So
Oh,
there's
yeah.
that section of people. And then there was another, all the people that believe that the comet's real. It was invented by Jewish billionaires to steal their guns. And then you have Meryl Streep's president who's telling people don't look up and making a chant of that. Just, it's not real. Keep your head down.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, yes, it is very on the nose with some of that stuff, but I mean, again, entertaining. That was a funny moment in the movie where they're chanting like, don't look up. Don't look up. And then one of the guys looks up and he's like, oh my God, there's a comet.
Yeah, they've been lying to us.
Yeah. And then they start
Tell me it
like
were that
chucking stuff
easy.
at Jonah Hill and stuff. And it's very funny. My question to you is, did you have any favorite moments in the movie at all?
Favorite moments, I mean, I have some favorite funny lines. I don't
Sure.
know.
Yeah. Let's hear it. Yeah, of course.
One of it was all those little like one-off things that were just cracking me up. Like even at the very beginning, Jennifer Lawrence has kind of like a crappy boyfriend, some type of paramour.
Yeah.
And we know that she has some issue with his mom, that his mom thinks she's a lesbian or they've offended each other somehow. And she has found out that this comet's coming in 6.5 months, but nobody else knows yet. And the boyfriend's trying to talk to her, and she's like, "Yeah, can I have lunch with your mom and talk this out in about 7 months?" He's just like, 7 months. It's just the little things like that.
My favorite running gag, maybe they played it one too many times, but I think it was funny, was one guy in the White House was charging for the snacks in the White House, and Jennifer Lawrence was like, but the snacks are free. I looked in the kitchen and I talked to the staff. It's free, but there you have this one guy charging for the snacks. What's he doing? They bring it up so many times, and it's so funny to me. I don't know. I liked it a lot.
It was good. I thought it was perfect because it was like it happened and then it was funny and then it was like one or two more times in quick succession.
Yeah.
And then near the very end of the movie, she's having this like, I think she's stoned and death is imminent. And it's just like this callback. It's been an hour and a half since this first happened. And then she just gives a callback. She's like, I just don't understand. And you think she's going to say something deep about, the world or the comet.
Yeah.
He works at the Pentagon. Why does he need to charge me for free snacks? Yeah. So I thought it bounced out perfectly. It was a good gag.
Yeah. Is there any other lines that you found that you really liked?
The lines, I don't know. There were some good moments. The one thing, this isn't really a funny thing, but the fact, so Jennifer Lawrence always knows exactly how long it is until the comet lands. And they say, like, how do you know this? So you can track it. And she says, oh, I downloaded this diet app. So it tells me how many days and hours and minutes until my diet's over, except for my diet's not over. It's the end of the world.
Oh,
and the fact that it's like a diet app timer is just another perfect snapshot of society.
Right. It's true. And like this, I'm going to go back to Kate Blanchett's character just because you inspired me of just like a snapshot of society. Just this idea of this news channel that is ignoring what their guests are saying on air to just be like, but we keep it light and fun around here, right, guys? Right, guys? And like, they don't care about any of that stuff. And like, as soon as someone's just like, I mean, they made fun of Jennifer Lawrence's character. She never got to come back. Dr. Mindy, Leo's character, didn't say anything, so he became like the hot scientist throughout the rest of the movie. And as soon as he starts speaking out to him, they drop him too, because they need to keep it light and fun on the station. And I think there's a lot of like channels. I think like going back to Jimmy Fallon, his show is exactly like that in a way. It's like, we can't get too real. We can make fun of some of the stuff, but if we get too real, that's not what this show's about, right? We got to keep it on brand. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it's true. And typically, I guess we've never experienced this, but it's to have a guest on that's like, there's nothing else to talk about with this guest. The whole point of this guest is this death sentence for the planet. And they're like, well, we just like keep it light. And what was the guy asking? He says, he's like, oh, you're an astronomer.
Hit my like neighbor's yard or something like that. And
he's like, so it could crush a house. Like, could it crush my ex-wife's house in New Jersey? Like, just so, yeah.
Yeah.
I also liked, just since we're kind of on the Leo's character, that he kind of became this mouthpiece for, like, he switched sides, and at first it was, I'm going to switch sides in the hopes that this is how I can change minds, and this is how, like, we can't just scream at them and tell them that they're stupid and they're not paying attention. You know, we have to, relate. And so he switched sides, but then got caught up in the switch sides of it all for some time before he saw the light yet again.
Yeah. Because he
was
an
interesting thing to see.
Fucking Kate Blanchett. And,
yeah, I mean,
and then just being
you switch
like,
sides too.
I mean, yeah, sure, yeah, she's great. Yeah, the idea of like this Leo character. It's funny to me that they're like, he wasn't handsome before, and then the news said he was handsome, because I'm like, it's Leo. Of course he's handsome. What are we talking about here? No one noticed this before, that this guy is like a rocket star right here. He's like a rocket ship. He's just a 10 out of 10. And now they're saying he's handsome. I didn't believe it.
I mean, Tuong, you're describing every like 2000s teen movie ever, where it's, she's like, she's ugly and she's just a troll, and then she takes off her glasses and straightens her hair, and it's like, oh my god, she's a beauty queen.
You're right.
So this is the middle-aged man version of that, for sure.
Yeah, that's true. I like this quote here that I found. It's by Jonah Hill's character. It's in the scene where he's just like praying for, like, he's feeling spiritual about stuff and being like, this is why I want the comet to like go away or whatever, and I want to shout out this stuff. He said, there's dope stuff, like material stuff, like sick apartments and watches and cars and clothes and shit that could go all away, and I don't want to see that stuff go away, so I'm going to say a prayer for that stuff. Amen.
Yeah, if that's not the perfect. It's funny though, because that's an extreme example, but I'm trying throughout this movie, and I think this is also the point, is I was thinking about what would I do with my last 6 months, or what would be the things that I would focus on, or the people that I would want to be with. And I wonder if, when you're actually faced with that scenario, how much of it you would get fixated on the things in your life that you liked.
Yeah.
Especially if the relationships in your life at that time like weren't fulfilling, or you didn't have that. It's like, well, what did I enjoy the most? I'm going to miss my fancy coffee maker, like the little things. And I know he's an extreme example, but I wonder when you're actually faced with that.
That's an interesting question. Maybe we ask that right now. Like, what is the end of the world? You have 6 months, Reba. What do? Do you keep working your job? Do you keep working your 9 to 5? Or do you like, F it, I'm going on this boat. I'm going to be with my man friend, sail, and just see where the world takes me and just live life?
I was afraid you were going to ask me this question. For all my thinking about it, I certainly would not keep my job. But it's also funny to think about, like, is it just me? Like, did I just get a death sentence, or is the world ending? Because if the world is ending, God only knows what everybody else is going to do.
Well, I think it would play out like this movie, where a lot of people don't believe it's ending, and they choose not to believe it. So like up until the very last second is when they believe it, right? So I think that's what it would play like that. And everybody else who does believe it in the beginning, or they're like, that person's crazy. Right?
Yeah, truly. What would you answer the question, Tuong? What would your last 6 months?
Reba, as someone who asked the question, I was not prepared for you to boomerang it back to me. I certainly wouldn't want to work, I think. I think that's like I think money doesn't matter anymore, right? Like I would want to just spend it with the people that I love, I guess. Just
Yeah.
maximize on that time. I don't know, dip into all my savings because who cares at that moment?
Oh,
Like,
really?
what
Yeah.
is money? I don't know. Just try a bunch of shit, I guess. You know, experiences like I don't know, do some skydiving or something like that. I mean, I would try that anyways, but I would do all the things I said that I kept putting off and never did, and then just put it at the front and be like, we gotta go. Gotta go to Disney World tomorrow. We gotta go, skydiving or go hang out on this beach for a little while.
Yeah. You know what I think I would do is I would open a skydiving company because
Hmm.
if the world is ending, so many people are going to be trying to cross skydiving off their bucket list.
You think
So I'm
so?
going to open a skydiving company. I'm going to make bank and I'm going to live my last 6 months doing anything I want with my
Reba,
unlimited
it's gonna take you
skydiving industry
forever to open
resources.
up. It's gonna take 3 months for you to get your skydiving business
No,
off the ground.
I would get investors, I would get quick capital, I would figure it out, and I would live my last months in the lap of
Okay.
luxury.
I was gonna say, like, if it takes you like 3 to 4 months to start your skydiving business, then you only have 2 months to make the money and then cash out so then you can live your life.
It's true. It's not a perfect plan, but it's an idea.
It's an idea. You're right. You're right. Okay, here is it. You marry into a rich person who owns a skydiving business.
Mm.
You you know, you have to. It's part of the, you know, it's the end of the world, so who cares? You have to conduct murder on on this husband, hide him away, or you know, like get him into some sort of scandal. Get him into some sort of
Ooh.
scandal, get him in trouble. But it has to be quick. It has to be very obvious that he is at fault. You take over the business in the interim, right? You're
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
temporary CEO for 6 months, and that, and
So what
then you can capitalize on that.
it sounds like I need to start laying the groundwork now because once the news comes out the world is ending, I got
Yep.
a lot to put in motion. So I guess I'm gonna have to start researching single skydiving
Yeah, I'm not sure
empire.
how your partner would feel about that, but maybe think that maybe you guys can do that together, right?
That's true. Okay.
Yeah,
We have a lot to think about.
a lot to think about. Okay, any final thoughts on this movie, Reba?
I really liked the parts of the movie. I can't remember, there were two or three scenes like this where it showed the comet coming at the Earth and then it just cut to a bunch of quick scenes of people and
Yes.
animals all around the world. So it's like a honeybee buzzing over a flower and like people, like somebody playing with their child in India and then it would like intersperse with the main characters of the movie, but just all of these little moments that just reminds you of, yeah, we're watching this really like dramatic, silly, blown up story about these 10 characters that we're seeing.
Hmm.
But what they're talking about is affecting the whole world. And the one that really got me was when it was the end, the comet was coming like that night and
Yeah.
they did this and they shot to like two whales deep in the ocean mating and I was like, I forgot about the whales, I forgot about everything under the water, and I got really sad about all the animals
Aw.
underwater.
Aw.
But it was just, yeah, it was, I think
I
it could have come, I don't know if, I think a lot of people probably wouldn't have liked it. It could have come across as a little cheesy or
I like that. No, you're right.
National Geographic-y, but I really liked it.
Now that you brought it up, maybe they didn't play into that enough because I also remember that choice and I was like, that is really like neat to show everyone else's perspective at the last moments of everything and everyone's like any living thing's last moments on the earth before the comet hits. But it would have been really nice to see. I don't know, like for this movie, I've it was obviously very like westernized, and we're focusing on the U.S. government specifically and how they're dealing with the comet, and they talk about other countries dealing with the comet in their own way, and I did feel like a little bit of a disconnect with like. I would like kind of like to see how the other countries are handling this a little bit. We just talk about it, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, that's because the only thing we saw was the talk about Chile and the negotiations to allow them to destroy the coastline or whatever it was. But you're right, it's, but I think that's kind of
Yeah.
the whole point of the movie is that the US and North America is like so privileged that they have the luxury of this turning into like a
Yes.
media spectacle and a political issue.
Right.
But
And that's
you're
why you
right.
have,
It would be interesting to see how this would play in
now
other.
that you brought that up, it's kind of like, yes, because everyone else, every other country in the movie that we didn't get to see, they're like, they work together to try to stop the comet. And the U.S. has their own plan to do it, kind of thing. They're going to send Ron Perlman. And he's like his speech when he's going off into space was really funny because he's like, I'd like to thank the gays. And it's like, oh my God, this guy's the worst.
Yeah, and every time he would say something like that, it was, the president or the chief of staff would look at the room and say, he's from a different time. He's from a different time.
And
He
we've
had
heard
an
this
epic
before.
last scene was when the comet was coming. He was out in his driveway shooting guns
I
at the
love that.
comet, saying, "You can't take me."
Yeah, I love that too. Yeah, that ending scene, now that you brought it back to, like, I just like it's very touching. It's very, I don't know how else they would have done this any better, but just the idea that they're all having a family dinner with the people that they love, and they're just talking, but they're not talking about the comet anymore. Then, like, the TV's off and stuff like that. They know it's coming and they tried their best, but now they're just talking like it's a regular night, and they're scared. You can see as the room starts to shake and stuff, they're like, it's hard not to, like, get your eye on that, but they're trying their best to just be like, how's school going, and, like, just small talk and enjoying those little last moments, right?
It was really beautiful. And one of Leo's last lines was, or when they reconciled near the very end, he and his wife. I don't think we talked about this, but when he got caught up in the glamour and the media, he had an affair with Kate Blanchett's news lady. But he reconciled with his wife at the end, and it was a really sweet moment where they said, "We really had it all, didn't we? We really had it all."
Yeah.
And it was nice. And I
That
liked
is
that
nice, yeah.
it was old family and new family that they kind of found through this crisis. And even that's why I liked Timothée Chalamet's character, was because you could tell he just lived his life for that day, and it didn't seem like he had a lot tethering him elsewhere. And so he found this person in J-Law that he had a connection with and followed her to the end. And it was really beautiful, all of them around the table together.
Yeah, I would say I think it's Rob Morgan who plays Dr. Teddy. He's the other, like, scientist that nobody believes. Also there's, like, they try to put in, like, that he's also black and no one believes him either. I was like, where's your family? Why are you spending it with your family and you're spending it with Leo and Jennifer Lawrence? I found that was a little strange, but, like, maybe he doesn't have anyone else to go to as well. So
yeah, maybe he didn't before, or maybe
maybe
throughout all this they split
true.
somehow.
Maybe just like Jennifer Lawrence, that he lost people that he loved because of his views, and then people, like, separated because they had their own views about the comet and all this other stuff. So I guess you can draw a lot of, like, extrapolations from that, I suppose.
Yeah, I did like the follow through on earlier in the movie. I can't remember, the tech CEO guy, the weird guy, was telling Leo's character that his company, they know everything about you, and they know exactly how and when you're going to die. And he said to Leo, I can't tell you how you're going to die, but you're going to die alone. I can tell you that. And this was at the point in the movie where Leo was very caught up in being the hot scientist, and he was cheating on his wife. And by the end, I think largely from hearing that, he reversed course and he died with everybody around him.
Yeah.
And then, like, we saw Kate Blanchett's character died in a bar, and the guy she was with was saying, "Oh, do you want to, I don't know, do you want to have sex? Do you want to do something else?" And she's like, "No, I think I'll just drink and talk shit about people." Just like utterly alone, being hateful to the last moment.
And then the very, very end of the movie, like, before Jonah Hill's, like, selfie with himself coming out of, like, the rubble and stuff, we have, like, all the rich people finally being like, oh, the comet's coming. This all went poorly. The plan did not go as well as we want to. So all the billionaires escaped the planet. And I turned to Laura and I'm like, there better be a fucking follow-up to this, because if the billionaires live, that would have been the wrong message to send. But luckily, the billionaires live. They go into, like, cryogenesis. They wake up from their, like, however thousands of years of slumber.
22,000 years.
Yeah. And then some people didn't make it. Like, some people still died from the cryogenesis. Some people got way too old. and then Meryl Streep's character sees like some bird looking thing, and she dies. So I was like, yes, fuck those people.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was perfect. I don't either typically watch. I don't watch credits. This is like a big beef with my boyfriend and I, is that I'm like, a movie ends and the credits start and I immediately turn it off, and he's always like, whoa, like we just gotta sit, you gotta decompress. He says it's like cuddling, you gotta
and you're like, no,
anyway,
it's not.
I was like, no, it's over, I don't want to watch credits. So for whatever reason, this movie, I just let it play. I think I was just tired, and
Boyfriend
and
will
then
be very proud of you.
I had to tell him. I think he watched the movie around the same time as I did, and yes, he was very pleased with himself that I been
do
doing wrong.
Different thing. Although if I'm at the theater, I'll definitely like stay usually. But for like movies, like on Netflix and stuff, I'll just use my remote and scrub through and see if there's a post-credit stuff, because everything has a post-credit thing now. Which for movies,
everything
I don't
you watch, because you watch all Marvel.
Well, you don't think so? Like I feel like everything has a post-credit now.
Well, I don't know. I've probably never seen any of them.
That's true. I'm trying to think of like all the big movies. Like think about like any big not Marvel film, like anything made by Disney, or like The Matrix. The new Matrix had a post-credit scene. That's Warner Brothers. Free Guy had like Ryan Reynolds had a post-credit scene. All the big movies has a post-credit scene.
Yeah, I suppose I have to change my ways. I think maybe because I typically watch TV more than I watch movies. So either it automatically moves to the next episode, or I skipped, because TV doesn't do that, obviously. But I need to be better. But it was well worth it in this movie to watch the post-credit scene.
Are you saying TV's better than movies? Are you saying this?
Ooh, Tuong, you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah.
For my preferences and purposes, yes. But I'm not saying that as a statement for everybody that is true. The TV's better. I'm saying I prefer it.
Well, we're going to have to end this episode.
It's been nice.
Yeah, it's been nice. I watch more movies these days, by the way. I just have to say I love TV, but it just takes so long, and there's so many of them. I don't know what to do anymore. Reba, what would you rate this movie?
Ooh, I would rate this movie. Oh, no.
How many comments? Give me a comment rating.
I'm going to give it 15,000 out of the 22,000 comments.
Whoa,
Is that a good rating? I can't math.
15,000 out of 22,000. I also can't. Oh my god, 70%,
73%.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's close. It's somewhere close.
Somewhere close, yes. Because, anyways, I'm not gonna do live math on the air either. But
that's a whole other podcast idea. People would love that.
Oh yeah, us crunching numbers, not smart people crunching numbers, us crunching numbers and seeing how it goes. Now
I don't know how to feel about that, Tom.
Okay, all right, fine. I'm gonna lump myself out of this and just say one smart person, Reba, crunching numbers.
Okay, got it.
You like it?
Yeah, what would you rate it?
Well, now I'm just too caught up that I accidentally called you not smart. No.
Yeah, you did. You said all of the not smart people.
Hey, it's just that I'm so bad at math that I want to bring someone else down with me, I guess. So, but that's not fair. That's not fair to you, or that's not fair to the comet that I'm about to rate. I would give it one comet out of 1.7 comets.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say one comment on my scale, which is a very bad rating.
No.
Okay.
One comet out of 1.7 comets, which is around
58%.
Shit, I didn't mean
That's
to go
not
that
true
low.
at all. No, it's 60 something. Ooh, we need a fact checker.
I thought you were the math person out of the two of us on the show here.
Well, I said I was generally smart. Like you just lumped me as a general idiot.
I did not say that.
Which I'm not, but I'm not a math smarty.
That's all I'm saying. You're a smart person.
Over 1.7 is a perfectly acceptable fraction to work with.
Okay, all right. Man, I've insulted Reba by accident 3 times on this show already. And this is why we haven't spoken in years, everyone.
I'll talk to you in 5 more years.
That's right. Reba, do you have anything to plug for the people at home at all? Thanks again for being on the show. Hopefully we get you back on Talking Tongue or Ranked sometime. I would love to have you back. If if you will come back and, you can talk with all the smart people that I have on the show.
Oh, that'll be nice. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Don't get to talk to many smart people. I don't have anything to
As she
plug.
glances at me.
Yeah, I haven't talked to a smart person all day today. That's for sure.
I deserve that. Okay. Continue.
I don't have anything to plug. I'm just a person floating about, not making anything to share
You're
with
making
the world.
cross-stitching stuff.
Cross-stitch bookmarks.
That's right. Do you want to plug cross-stitching as a hobby? Is it worth it for people to get into it?
It's worth a shot, if you just need something to do with your hands. It's cheap to get into. There's loads of free apps or free patterns and stuff online.
Cool.
Go nuts.
And would you make a TikTok account for your cross-stitch one day?
I can't have TikTok. I had it and I spent too much time watching it, so I can't have the app anymore.
I've never downloaded it. That's a fun fact about me, because I'm like, this seems wrong. I can't have another one.
There's too much.
Snapchat. I don't even use Snapchat. I have one friend who sends me snaps through Snapchat, and I'm like, can you please move on to a different one of the, there's so many out there. That's
actually really cute. You can change the shortcut on your phone to their picture and just rename it.
I could, or I can tell them stop using Snapchat.
Yeah, well, are they 12?
No, very close friend of the show here.
Oh no,
does lots of podcast and stuff, but she knows this, so it's fine. It's not an insult. Okay. Just we got to move off Snapchat. It's not the thing anymore.
Snapchat was fun for many years.
Very fun. I'm over it. I'm done with it.
I turned 30 last month. This is why I also have a bit of a complex about the cross stitching, because I literally turned 30 and then got COVID and then started cross stitching. I'm I just ran at 30 like a brick wall.
That's okay. That's okay. We all have to deal with what it's like to turn 30. You should listen to Bo Burnham's song, Turning 30. And
I should.
Yes. Fantastic special. Anyways, we're not talking about that. We're talking about Don't Look Up, and we're done talking about Don't Look Up. So thank you all for listening to our episode of Don't Look Up. You can find that on Netflix. You'll see Reba again sometime. I'm sure she'll come hurtling at the pod cavern like a comet.
Oh, nice.
Less destruction, though, I hope. And you can find the rest of the shows in the pod cavern at www.podcavern.com. Reba, you know this is coming. Before we go, you have a world-famous catchphrase that you want to share to the rest of the world. And that catchphrase is...
Yikes on bikes. I don't know. You told me not to think about it.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.